What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you some Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous news that was announced alongside their latest DLC, Through the Ashes, which I've already covered. However, I haven't had a chance to talk about this news yet, so I wanted to make this video and do exactly that. So those two things are, of course, as the title probably told you, the patch notes as well as Season Pass number 2. So alongside the DLC announcements, we got some more information, obviously. Now, initially, the Season Pass, which we'll start with, I imagine that's what most people are interested in, was announced sort of via an interview, actually, with GameSpace.com. Owlcat Games actually seems to like these guys. They do interviews with them, I wouldn't say regularly, but commonly enough. It's not the first time. And one of the very first questions they opened up with was, do you have anything to share about your plans for Wrath and the studio itself? So obviously we knew that an endless dungeon mode was coming as part of the current Season Pass 1. So they talked about that a little bit. But then from there, they went on to announce that coming in fall, we'll be getting a Season Pass number 2, an Enhanced Edition, and we got a few other details. However, the Enhanced Edition itself, while they didn't give us a full list of features, they actually did mention that it's apparently going to be including a photo mode and high-level content related to several mythic paths. It was confirmed over on Reddit via Owlcat themselves as well that the Enhanced Edition will be free for existing players on its release. So if you have the game already, you'll get the upgrade to the Enhanced Edition for free. But if I remember correctly, Kingmaker didn't really include any of the DLC with its Enhanced Edition, so something to keep in mind there, I suppose. Because that leads me to believe that they are likely to just add the features for the Enhanced Edition and kind of bake that into the base game, rather than sell them as DLC, so the Enhanced Edition itself will likely be separate from the DLC like it was for Kingmaker, as opposed to like a definitive edition, etc., that is bundled with all the DLC, for instance. Now, before we move on to patch notes, I wanted to say a couple things. For starters, what I would like to see for the upcoming Season Pass 2 DLCs, but also I'm going to link the interview itself down below where we got a lot of this information from. I thought it was a pretty good read, and if you're super into Wrath of the Righteous and you're watching this video, you might want to check it out for yourself. Now, as for what I would like to see from Season Pass 2, for starters, I want to see the continuation of Through the Ashes, which I'm pretty sure is the plan, as it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, and I want to see where that goes personally. Now, beyond that, what I wouldn't mind seeing are things like extra races, or as they alluded to with the Enhanced Edition, extra content for the late game mythic paths, or just more stuff to do at that higher level, towards the end game basically, and kind of filling out that part of the game. What I don't actually want to see is new classes. So truth be told, a lot of the classes are still having trouble with some of their features working properly, and I think adding more classes to an ecosystem where some of those abilities just aren't working as it is would be a bad idea. I mean, if between now and those DLC releases they get the classes sorted out, then I wouldn't mind it as much. But right now, off the top of my head, I know Arcanist, Lore Master, and Blood Kineticist actually still have a few issues. And that's just something I'm aware of personally as someone who covers this game. So I imagine internally they're probably aware of a few more than that. But I would definitely be down for the addition of more races. I know Ratfolk has been a community requested one for quite some time that I think would be really cool to add to the game. But honestly, there's a bunch of amazing, cool fantasy races out there that I think would serve this game very well if they are still adding DLC to it. But beyond that, let me know what you guys would like from extra DLC for Season Pass number 2. And then let's talk a little bit about the patch notes before we wrap up. So the patch notes themselves aren't anything insane. They're mostly dedicated towards fixing a lot of stuff. I'll try to link them down in the description below as well. But some of the highlights were mechanical changes to the Secrets of Creation puzzles. These were the tile puzzles that kind of revolved around the stories with Ninio and the Enigma, etc. They reworked a lot of the mechanics around the Secrets of Creation specifically, which is the tile puzzles you would find on the world map. So apparently that's a bit easier to use now. This patch also helped out with the Covenant of the Inheritor item, which if you watched my last Aslanti stream, you know that it is a very annoying item that liked to turn off constantly and you had to just turn it back on all the time. So they finally addressed that, which was really cool. And then they actually made some changes to the Treat Affliction ability. This is an ability that everyone has. It basically makes, I believe it's a lore religion check to remove a single disease or poison character. So in order to use that now, You have to actually have these little medicine kits that they've added to the game, which I think makes a lot of sense. But don't worry, they're cheap and easy to come by, and truth be told, I don't imagine a lot of people are even aware of what Treat Affliction is or does. But this change was inspired by Through the Ashes, where this was a necessary part of that DLC, and they decided to add it to the base game, and overall, I'm a fan of that change. But beyond that, all of the DLC fixes are largely just down to small quality of life stuff, as well as just fixing a lot of bugs. That's pretty much the entire patch notes, is just fixing bugs. But overall, a lot of cool stuff coming to Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous this fall. Though I do think it's worth mentioning that a lot of people didn't like the first DLC, Inevitable Excess, and Through the Ashes as a side story that happens away from the main campaign also turns off a certain amount of people. So while I personally liked these DLCs, I can see why people didn't like them, and furthermore, the people that didn't like them are going to have to be pretty impressed by the stuff they are releasing this fall, which should include the console version, by the way, at least that's when it's scheduled for. But the DLC and stuff in the fall is really going to have to impress the people who weren't very excited about the DLC they've released thus far. Now, personally, again, I've enjoyed the DLC, however, the bugs have been a pretty consistent problem. And while Owlcat does do a fantastic job of updating their game regularly with content and trying to fix a lot of these bugs, I for one certainly hope they get to a point where they can QA this stuff a bit more before it actually releases, as the number one consistent complaint about Owlcat's games is bugs. And while they certainly won't stop you from completing the game, yeah, fair enough, it gets a little annoying after a while. So I can definitely understand where those people are coming from. But that is all I've got for you today. Let me know what you think about what we've got upcoming in the fall for Wrath of the Righteous. Again, stuff I'm personally pretty excited for and looking forward to. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. Thank you again. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.